everyone, and I hope you are well. My name is Tanner, and today I'm going to be talking to you about verbal self sabotage. And it's so important that we address our verbal self sabotage in our lives. And this is why I want to speak about it today because for me, I know it was a crucial thing. I would constantly be diminishing myself, abusing myself, even with my negative thoughts, and I would be surrendering my power over to other people without myself even knowing and realizing it. And I would be kind of almost breaking myself down with my thoughts and, disempowering myself in a way that I think many people don't realize. And that's why I want to talk about it. And it's because a lot of these phrases and a lot of these things that we're saying are actually built into our society, and many people commonly say them. So we don't even think twice about them. But I think they are very important that we address them so that we can all start to, move forward in life. Because the way I see it and the way that it really works is your thoughts become your beliefs. The more you think something, the more you start to listen to other people say something, the more you speak about something, the more you start to believe it. And once you make a form of belief, oftentimes our actions, we take actions based on those beliefs, right? So if you believe that, money is the root of all evil, then oftentimes you will be avoiding money at all costs. Or if you get money, you'll be spending it, or maybe you'll be sabotaging your job at work so you don't get a promotion. And many people don't realize this is kind of how it works because there's two parts of our mind, and I need to be talking about both these parts of the mind in this podcast, and I'm going to explain both of them right now. So we all have two parts of our mind. Some people might argue three parts, but really I just want to speak about the two parts because I think those are the most important. We have the conscious part of our mind, which is the dreaming part of our mind, the part of our mind that likes to think about all the things we want to be doing, all the amazing things that we can do in life. It has our desires. It has our critical thinking ability. It's able to think long term. Where the other part of our mind, the subconscious mind, this part of our mind actually is like a record player where it just keeps playing whatever it was stored on it. And what we store on our subconscious mind is often, the words of others, phrases that we repeat to ourselves a lot. There is, experiences. So it's more like a hard drive than it is a critically thinking ability part of our mind. It doesn't think for itself really. It just processes and runs programs. So you can think of it as a computer, right? So it has different programs on it based on what you installed onto it. And what we install onto it is from the experiences, from the things people say on it. So, we may have a program in our subconscious mind to be thinking negatively. We may have a program in our subconscious mind so that we can drive. Think about when you were driving or when you were learning how to drive. I don't know how hard it was. You had to learn all the different things to do. But now when you get in the car, you just turn on the car and you start driving, and then you're actually, thinking about what else you're going to be doing in the day. You're thinking about work. You're thinking about something else, right? And your subconscious mind is actually taking over and doing the driving for you. And that is actually why a lot of people find themselves like thinking about what else they're going to be doing while they're driving. And they're still able to drive comfortably and safely because this part of the mind is so powerful. This part of the mind is also in charge of like going to the bathroom and things like that because it has those programs built into us that we've learned. And some of them are just, we were born with their instincts, right? So the subconscious mind is very important to understand. And for this podcast, I want you to think of it as a record player, as a storage device that essentially will hold all of the words, all of the thoughts of others that, we've been hearing or that we saw other people do. So like if we saw someone else do something and they got hurt from it, we might think in our head, oh, that's dangerous, right? And then our subconscious mind, every time we see that, will be like, oh, that's dangerous. We saw that, right? So your subconscious mind will replay that in your mind And that's often why, like, if you listen to a song many times over, you start to have the song stuck in your head. That's many times why, um, if there's something very dramatic that happens in your life, because then it will be stuck in your mind again. And there's a reason for that, because the subconscious mind, creates these programs or records based on things that are familiar, things that are emotional, and things that are um, sorry, instead of familiar, another word could be like repetitive. So the more times things are repeated, the more times that are the more our subconscious mind is going to be drawn to it. So it's very important that you keep an eye out for what things are being repetitive in your life, and what things are being emotional in your life, and what things are visual in your life. So this is why, when people have a very traumatic experience, like they're abused, they're molested, they're attacked or something like that, they often replay that memory in their head over and over and over, and it traumatizes them because their subconscious mind, it kind of got like burnt into their subconscious mind. It made a program that was very, very dominant over other programs, and it kept playing it over and over. It's kind of like, and what you got to remember is that the subconscious mind is not broken when it's doing this. It's actually working how it's exactly supposed to. It works in a way that makes it so it keeps us safe. And when we are young, when we're between the ages, of 2 and 7, it's when it's the most active, actually. And it's actually when our brain's in like a theta state. So it's essentially in a hypnosis state, because, and that's the hypnosis state is when our subconscious mind is in like a reprogramming mode, essentially. And so when we are kids, we need to learn as quickly as possible so we can fit in with society, so we can learn the customs, so we can learn how to speak, so we can learn all these things, right? And so your subconscious mind is in this learning state, in this hypnosis state, and it is constantly recording and creating programs for you, which is an amazing thing, because if you are here listening to this right now and you made it out of childhood, congratulations. Your subconscious mind did its job. It got you to where you need to go in life to be alive and to be an adult. But the problem is with the subconscious mind, and why so many people are now facing problems in life, is that they never actually learned about the subconscious mind, and they never understood that once you become an adult, you have to become like the protector, instead of the subconscious mind protecting you as when you were a child. Because if you understand how the subconscious mind is influenced, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment, then you'll understand that you need to be protecting your subconscious mind, because it can't filter out the things that you hear, or the things that you see, or the things that are surrounding you. Instead, it just absorbs it all and then takes it down as a note, and will often just be drawn to the most familiar thing, the most thing that had the most repetition, the most emotional, um, the higher the emotional state of it was, the more it was visualized, is the more that your subconscious mind will be drawn to it. And that is why it's so important you understand how your subconscious mind works. And your subconscious mind is influenced, by the things around us, by the things that you watch. So it doesn't matter if it is in real life, like a play, or people speaking in front of you, um, or if it's like a TV show or a movie. They've actually proven that your mind can't tell the difference between, fiction and reality. And there was this amazing study done where there was a group of two women knitting, right? There was one group of women who were knitting, watching the other, and they were completely knitting, and they were all getting their brain scanned. So one group of women were knitting, another group of women were just watching those women knit. And the group of women there who were knitting, their brains were lighting up in a certain way, showing that they were knitting, right? But the group of women who were just watching them knit, their brains lit up in the exact same way. And that is because our subconscious mind doesn't understand the difference between fiction and reality. So it actually thinks it's almost actually doing these things, it's trying to mimic those things. So that's why when you watch a scary movie, it can become so scary and you can get the goosebumps. That is why it's so important you understand what you're doing and when you're watching TV is programming yourself to be acting a certain way, to be thinking a certain way, to be, doing certain activities. And this actually been has been shown in other ways too. So, when Netflix released Queen's Gambit, which is a chess show, right? Did you know that like the amount of people buying chessboards increased by like at least 60%? The amount of people going to chess.com increased. The word chess was increased by as a Google search by like 100%. Like all these things regarding chess just increased, and that's because people wanted to mimic what they just saw. And there's another one example of this. Have you seen the Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage, where he is like stealing cars, and Angelina Jolie's in it as well. And the reason why this one is important is because when that came out, did you know that in Burnaby, Canada, so the actual crime statistics for Grand Theft Autos increased by, I think it was like 200% or something within Burnaby, Canada. And right after that show came out, it increased by 200%, like the week after. And it's very important you understand that's how your subconscious mind works. It wants to mimic these things, and it was very powerful, and many people want to mimic it because not only was Nicolas Cage seemed as a cool guy, he had a really cool car, but he also got a hot chick, right? He got Angelina Jolie, so he got all these things um, going for him and showing that, hey, stealing cars is cool. It made stealing cars a cool thing. So your subconscious mind will be drawn to that. There's another one. I don't know if you know who Bill Cosby is in the Cosby Show, and I know there's a lot of negative things going around Bill Cosby. But what his show did was called the Cosby Effect, and it actually increased the amount of um, African Americans going to school and going out and getting jobs and things like that, because it's called the Cosby Effect. You can actually even look it up. It's very, very interesting stuff because all these examples are pretty much just showing that your subconscious mind is influenced from the TV and from essentially fiction, right? So I think a lot of people don't realize that when you're watching TV, it's programming you. And that's why it's called TV programming, right? What program are you going to be watching on TV tonight? Have you heard that? Well, you're programming yourself every time you watch TV. And part of the reason for this is your subconscious mind switching to that theta state when you're watching TV. So, the TV is one of the most powerful tools for programming your mind. But unfortunately, a lot of the TV shows and movies and things that you are watching is actually getting so dark and negative, and has a lot of verbal self sabotage within it. And so a lot of negative thinking, and then your subconscious mind picks up on that and wants to mimic it. And so that's part of the way that your subconscious mind might be influenced, right? The other part of the way is just with your thoughts and with the way you're speaking. So the more times you speak negatively, the more times you do those negative things, the more often you are going to be actually believing that, and the more often you are going to have those negative thoughts come back up in your head. And what I like to call those negative thoughts that are reoccurring and automatic negative thoughts, or ants. And that I learned from Jim Quick. He's a very smart guy who knows about the brain. But beyond that, we I want to talk a little bit about self sabotage, like different examples. So the first one I want to talk about, because it has to do with consciousness, is when people say, I'm feeling self conscious, and they in our society makes it seem like it's a bad thing to be conscious of yourself, to be self conscious of yourself. It's it's seen as a bad thing, but it's such a great and amazing thing to be using your conscious mind, because how many animals and how many species in the world and the universe have conscious thinking abilities? Obviously we don't know what's all out in the universe, but at least in our world, not many, species actually have the ability to think consciously, to critically think, to think long term. And that is what we have. And so many people don't use that conscious ability. They think they are, and unfortunately so many people aren't using it. That's why people are going with the short term, effects. They're going for that pleasure seeking mode. They're going for the alcohol, the drugs, they're going for the TV binge watching, the video games and things like that, because they're thinking short term. And that is what a lot of self-sabotage comes from, is from short-term thinking, which I think is very important to address. But yeah, back to the feeling self-conscious thing. You want to be feeling self-conscious. You want to be aware of what's going on in your life. And I know a lot of people feel, say I feel self-conscious when they're thinking about their body, or about, performing from other people or things like that, right? But it's not the act of feeling self-conscious that is bad. It's not being aware of yourself that is a bad thing. It's more, what's bad is your negative thoughts towards yourself. Because, if you, let's say you are aware of yourself, but then you're allowed to believe in yourself and love yourself and treat yourself like you would a friend, do you think that would be, being aware of yourself would be a bad thing? No, because being aware of yourself and what you're doing is actually extremely important. So let's say you are gaining weight. Being aware of that fact is super important. You want to be able to be like, hey, I'm gaining weight. What am I doing wrong? What do I need to address? Because there's a reason for you gaining weight. It doesn't just happen out of the blue. It's something, maybe your lifestyle, maybe you're eating something, maybe you're acting a certain way, maybe you are verbally self-sabotaging yourself and causing stress in your body. There's a lot of reasons why you might be gaining weight, but if you are aware of it, then at least you can start to pay attention and start maybe to cut out certain things out of your life to see, hey, will this help my weight gain? Will this make it so I can find my body's natural, healthy weight? And so being self-conscious of yourself is very, very important, and being conscious of what words you're using. So are you saying to yourself that you are never going to be good at something? Are you saying to yourself that you're stupid when you fail? Are you saying to yourself that you shouldn't have even tried this thing because you didn't do good at it? And or are you beating yourself down before you even tried? Or are you looking in the mirror every day or every night and just saying, ah, ugly, so why are you even alive? You shouldn't be doing these sorts of things. I'm not sure if you may be feeling that, but I know there's a lot of people who are negative in that way. And I know I was very abusive towards myself as well. And actually, a good example of this is just with public speaking. So, I was someone who used to believe that I was a terrible public speaker. I was someone who feared public speaking and told myself I hated it and I would never be good at it, and that I didn't want to be good at it. And that every time I heard my voice, I would say, oh, is that my voice? And it started to become very hard to listen to my voice. And I had to do a lot of reprogramming, how to make new records in my subconscious mind that allowed me to believe in myself, that allowed me to be able to come out in front of you guys and speak and be able to share my story and be able to share this information with you guys. And I never would have been able to do that if I was still thinking in that negative way, if I was still verbally self-sabotaging myself towards public speaking and just in general and my confidence, right? And I think that's so, so important that we all address this information, because if you don't address why, why you're thinking this way, why you are, um, speaking to others in like a negative way or disempowering yourself, then you're going to be stuck in that forever, because you're going to continue that cycle of creating beliefs, and then taking actions. Sorry, taking actions after those beliefs. So another example of self-sabotage or verbal self-sabotage would be to say, you make me feel. This is one of the ones I was talking about, where you're surrendering your power to someone else, or, essentially giving away your power to someone else. You make me feel. You made me feel. No one can make you do anything, right? They didn't they didn't force you to say that. They didn't force you to feel that way. What they said maybe was a negative thing, but you allowed it to hurt you. So let's take, for example, let's say someone, a loved one, says something negative to you, right? That, and then you say, you made me feel this way. But let's say some random person said the same thing, and you were just like, whatever, dude, like, get out of my life. I don't even want you here, right? And you brush it off and you let it go away because you didn't let yourself feel that way. So when you are saying you made me feel, in all essence, what you really should be saying is I allowed myself to feel this way because I'm, you know, I love you and you that really hurt me. So instead of saying you made me feel, because I know that's really what people are trying to do is express, what someone said, like how that was affecting them, just say, that was a hurtful comment. You should, maybe that was kind of a rude comment. You shouldn't be saying that to me. I don't appreciate when you say that to me. You could say something like that instead of you make me feel this way, right? And I think a lot of this is changing the way we are speaking about ourselves and about others and to others, right? And that's why changing, if you're saying, you made me feel, you change it to something else, to where you're not giving that power away to someone else where they can make you do something. Because if you start surrendering your power, and then someone starts saying something else to you and you start to believe that other people have that power over you, your subconscious mind starts to believe that anyone can come into your life and ruin your day, right? You can be walking down the street and someone says, "Hey, you looking fat," and then you start feeling upset, right? But you maybe not even looking fat. They're just being, a jerk. They're just being rude to you. And there's no reason for you to allow them to ruin your day like that, because we all have that choice. That is one of our greatest freedoms, is that no matter what we do in life, no matter where we are in life, no matter what experience we have, no matter what other people are saying to us, we can always choose how we feel and how we react to any given situation. And so if you're giving that freedom up, it's it's very disempowering. And it's important you take that back and realize that you have that power to choose how you feel and to allow that to negatively affect you or not. And then beyond what other people are saying, you know, I think it's very important as well. Like when you're talking about doing something, right? You say, I'm going to try to do this, right? But if you're saying I'm going to try, what is that really implying? That you might fail, right? It's not saying I'm going to do it. It's saying I'm going to try this. It's kind of like giving yourself an out. Like, if I fail, I said I was going to try, so that's okay, right? Tell yourself you're going to do it. Be confident in yourself. Say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep trying that, or I'm going to keep doing this until it's completed. You don't have to say, I'm going to keep trying this, because that's going to imply that you're going to be failing, and you don't want to imply that to yourself. You want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. If you end up making a mistake, then just keep going. Don't keep trying the same thing over and over, or don't keep trying, or sorry, don't keep doing the same thing over and over. If you did something wrong and you made a mistake, instead look at what you did wrong, adjust your actions to correct for it, and then try it again, or then do it again in a different way. And obviously, as you can see, the try word, it's so built into our society. When I'm trying to break free from it, I keep saying it. And that's something I've been trying to work on a lot lately, is what words I'm using. Because I think a lot of the English language, unfortunately, and maybe other languages too, I'm not super fluent in any other language, but the English language has a lot of words built into it that are kind of disempowering, um, and a lot of words that mean the same thing but sound the similar, which might be disempowering to our subconscious mind as well. So, for instance, like, talking about how you're going to do a work week, week could be the WEAK, like you are weak, you're working all week, you've been working on the week, and you know you and it sounds almost kind of crazy to think about, but when you start to think about it that way, you're like, whoa, how is this affecting me? And you start to think about how the subconscious mind works and how it can't really differentiate between certain things. It might associate that same week with the other week, and it's hard for it to actually differentiate. Now we consciously know the difference, right? But your subconscious mind is very, very important. And I think I also need to talk about with the subconscious mind why it is so important that we reprogram it. Because I think a lot of people think that the majority of the time they're acting based off of what their conscious mind wants, their desires, their dreams. But really, it's been proven that about 90 to 95% of the time, we're actually running our subconscious mind programs. And so, we may be 10 to 5 to 10% of the time thinking consciously about something, but most of the time and most of our actions are coming from our subconscious mind. So they're actually usually coming from someone else's beliefs, someone else's thoughts, someone else's actions that we have seen or heard or learned, and we are mimicking those things. And a great person who talks about this is Dr. Bruce Lipton, who works with the mind. He's a phenomenal doctor. He's so smart. If you have a chance, I'd recommend listening to some of his things he talks about, because he's a pioneer within the subconscious mind and learning how we are programmed. And that's where I learned a lot about this information about programming. And then also through Jason Christoff as well, who was my self-sabotage coach and who taught me to become a self-sabotage coach. But for me, within my self-sabotage story, changing the way I thought, changing the way I think, changing the way I speak to other people and speak about myself was so important. And I've noticed a huge difference in my life ever since I've started to change those things and start to address my verbal self-sabotage, essentially. I wouldn't be in front of you guys speaking right now if I didn't. And I think that is a very powerful thing. I think that is very, very important for you to realize that is, if you want to be, in front of people speaking, if you want to be helping other people, you can do it. You can actually overcome your fears. You can overcome those negative beliefs. You can overcome that verbal self-sabotage within your life. And you can create the life you do want. I think that pretty much covers all information I want to talk about verbal self-sabotage. There is many other forms of verbal self-sabotage, and I'll have to come back to it at a later podcast. But actually, I'm going to definitely come back to it at a later podcast because I feel like I'm constantly coming up with new or finding new ways where I'm sabotaging myself through like verbally, and I don't even realize it, right? Like the you make me feel and the self-conscious one, those ones popped up recently, and I was just like, wow, how did I not think about this before? I was totally giving away my power. I was totally breaking myself down. I was totally getting myself away from thinking consciously when we really want to be. So I'm going to kind of touch on the points. Oh, actually, wait, I'm not done yet. I just remembered, and actually, here's actually another one. I just thought of, as I said, I just remembered. So a lot of people say, I forgot this, I forgot that, I forgot blah 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 blah. It's programming your mind to think that you forget, that you're forgetful. So see what I did there? I said, I just remembered this. Try to start using that as well. Instead of saying I forgot something, say I just remembered. I just remembered this. I just remembered that. That is very, very important, that you decide what you want, and sorry, not what you want, that you tell yourself that you can remember things, that you can tell yourself that you have that ability to do that instead of telling yourself the opposite, right? So I was going to talk about some solutions as well. And as I was doing that, I thought of another perfect example of how our thoughts and the words we tell ourselves can actually influence us to take certain actions or even change our whole body. So Marissa Peer, I don't know if you know who Marissa Peer is. She's a probably the most recognized and top hypnotherapist in the world. She's from the UK. She talks about, she shared a story about a little boy, right? And his mom. And this little boy was watching his mom put lotion on his baby brother. And every day this mom would put lotion on his baby brother. And the little boy really wanted the attention and wanted to put lotion on him. So he told his, he begged his mom, like, please, mom, can I have some lotion for me? Can I have some lotion for me? And she would say, don't be silly. Don't be silly. This lotion is for the baby. And so one day he actually developed a really bad case of eczema. And his whole body was just covered in eczema. And you know what his mom had to start doing? was put lotion on him and bandages, and he got that lotion on him. And how Marissa found out about this is this little boy came to her for help, well, with the mom. And what she asked him was, hey, if your eczema had a superpower, what would it be? He said, well, every time I see my mom putting lotion on the baby, I really wanted the lotion. And now my mom puts lotion on me. That'd be its superpower. And, it's from a little kid's perspective, it's amazing because it's so true. That is actually how our subconscious mind works. We can influence ourselves to be to change our whole body, to change to develop some kind of disease, to do something like that. So if you want attention so bad, then you're willing to do anything to get it. Who knows? You might develop cancer. You might develop some kind of disease. If you really are dreading going to work, you might get a tummy ache, you might throw up, you might not feel good. And I'm almost positive I've done this to myself a couple of times when I was working at Empower Retirement at the call center. I used to dread going to that job. I don't know why, but I would convince myself that getting on that phone and talking to people in the call center was like the most horrendous thing ever. And I literally would dread getting on the phone. And then, um, you know, one day I just quit. I just quit going, and I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell Empower Retirement. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell my family. And then they all found out, and I was super embarrassed and frustrated. But that was the first time I ever quit anything like that. And I think I want to share the story with you because, it's so important that you check out how you're sabotaging yourself verbally, because that's what that exactly was. That was verbal self sabotage. And my mind heard my command saying, I hated this job. I dread it. I don't want to do it. And then I just stopped going. And my subconscious mind just said, okay, let's not go then. We're just going to quit. And that's exactly what happened. I just quit. And part of me regrets it because I know that I could go back to that and be able to do it because I know exactly what I would need to do. I can, I'm much more confident in myself. And I tell myself that I enjoy doing those things now. So, I mean, I also work at Wells Fargo right now, which I think I told my self sabotage story that, I also work at Wells Fargo at the call center right now. And I don't dread going to work. I don't dread getting on the phone anymore because I changed the way I think about things. I can easily get on the phone and speak to other people. I can come in front of you guys and speak in front of you guys because I changed the way I was thinking. I ended that verbal self sabotage line. I created new programs, new records for my subconscious mind to play so that I am able to do these things. So now that I've kind of given those examples, I want to talk about some solutions you guys can do, some steps you guys can take to address verbal self sabotage. So one of the ones I really like is called the delete technique. And if I remember correctly, this is from the book The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murray, where he teaches the delete technique. And what the delete technique is essentially using your visualization. Because remember how I told you the visualization is very impactful for the subconscious mind? Using your visualization to be able to defend yourself from automatic negative thoughts or from other people's thoughts. So let's say someone says, you are looking so ugly right now, or you look awful right now, right? What I like to do is imagine that phrase maybe possibly, or it's that phrase like on a computer screen, and maybe it's on a Word document, right? And you know how there's like that flashing line after what you're like right after what you've typed, where it's showing you that, hey, you can type now or go backwards. Essentially, I want you to picture that in your head, right? Then I want to picture you to picture a giant keyboard, or maybe even just the giant delete button. And I want you to press that delete button or hold it down and imagine that whole phrase just being wiped from existence. It's gone. It's no longer there. You feel the freedom. You feel that stress relief. You feel free because it's no longer there. It's no longer in your mind. You've just deleted it, right? And you can imagine that, you can feel that, you can use your emotion. The more emotion, the more visualization you use in this, the stronger the effect will be. And then this wasn't in the Joseph Murray book, but I think you can always take it a step further than that. You can actually imagine, now that it's a blank canvas, a blank Word document, imagine yourself typing in something positive now. So if someone said, you don't look so hot today, delete it and say, I feel amazing today. I feel fantastic today. I feel absolutely great today. And have no doubt about it. Today's going to be an amazing day, right? You want to use that positivity, and you want to speak in the present tense, because allowing yourself to speak in the future tense is actually a form of self-sabotage. Why? Because your subconscious mind doesn't understand it. So, and the way it kind of thinks of things in the future tense is that, so let's say, in the future, I'm going to be happy. In the future, I'm going to be healthy. In the future, I'm going to be wealthy. Your subconscious mind thinks, okay, in the future, right? But the problem with the future is it's always a day away. It's always in the future, especially to the subconscious mind. That day never comes because it's always in the future. Tomorrow, and like, let's say if you're like, tomorrow I'm going to do this, right? If you're procrastinating, tomorrow I'm going to do this. But what happens when it comes tomorrow? Tomorrow then is the next day after that, right? Because your subconscious mind still thinks of it as tomorrow. It's like, oh, tomorrow. But tomorrow is always a day away. You want to do things in the now. You want to get things done now. You want to tell yourself you are strong now. You are capable now. I am blah, blah, blah. Now, what follows I am will follow you in life. And that is because your subconscious mind will hear those things and will create a program after them. And I think it's important to note that the way the program is built is through repetition, through that emotion, through that visualization, right? So you got to use all those things to use. When you're creating the affirmation, try to use those things if you're able to. Try to use, the descriptive words so you can create visualization in your mind. Try to use some emotion. Feel yourself. Feel the release. If you're, saying, I love my life, feel that, just the satisfaction. Feel the strength. If you're saying, I'm strong, feel the strength in your body. Feel the energy surging. You want to use all of your tools you have available to you if you're really trying to create new programs. Something else to think about while you're, creating new programs and new affirmations is think about avoiding negatives. So if you're saying, I am not fat, I am not this, I am not that, I am not blah, 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 your subconscious mind doesn't really understand the negatives. And all it hears is, I am fat, I am whatever, right? So you want to be saying things like, I am healthy, I am strong, I am powerful, I am capable. So avoid those negatives and keep things in the present tense. And let's see, something else about, or just on top of my mind, what was it? So with self-sabotage or verbal self-sabotage, another way you can reprogram yourself if you're creating affirmations, let's say, and that's really what I am statements are, is just affirmations. And that's what you might have heard about affirmations. And this is, what I've explained to you today about the subconscious mind. This is why affirmations are so powerful, because often affirmations are repeated. They are in the present tense. They're avoiding the negatives. And so your subconscious mind is hearing them. And the more times you do it, the more times you're using visualization, the more motion you're using, the more you're going to be creating programs for that. So, instead of playing the program or playing the record, because it's kind of like a record player as well, right? Your subconscious mind, instead of playing the record with all the negative thinking on it, it's going to be playing the record with all the positive thinking, all of the positive thinking, all the good words, all that feel good stuff. Your subconscious mind is going to be playing that instead of the negative. If you make it more familiar, if you make it more emotional, if you use that visualization. And for anyone who thinks they're not able to visualize things, that they're like, I just can't visualize things at all, I want you to try doing this. And this kind of actually is a cool one because it also shows how your subconscious mind doesn't understand the word not. So I want you to not visualize a giant purple elephant balancing on a lime green rug. Can I ask you, did that thought come into your head? Did you visualize that for a second? If you, I'm very, very almost positive that you did, because all of us have that ability, and all of us have the ability to be visual. The way it becomes easier and the way that you allow yourself to do it is you tell yourself you're good at it. Tell yourself that you believe in yourself, and then keep doing it. And it'll become easier and easier and easier to visualize these things and to use it to your advantage, and to be able to create the life you want and to create the programs you want, so that you can be playing the positive programs, the the affirmations that you want in life. And then another cool trick for overcoming verbal self-sabotage is to, if you create those affirmations, right, you can record them. And what you can do is actually listen to those when you're waking up. Like, let's say when you're waking up, you have them go and play when maybe for as your alarm sound, and you starts playing your affirmations as you're waking up, or you just play them. Your alarm goes off and you press play on it and it starts going. The reason why is because when you're waking up, your mind is actually switching brainwave statuses and going past into theta for a while. So it's in the theta state where you're in the hypnosis state. So you're actually able to reprogram yourself with your affirmations during that period of time. And the cool thing is this also happens at nighttime when you're going to sleep. The reason why this happens is because your brain is going from its normal awake brain wave to a sleeping brain wave, essentially, which it's delta brain wave when you're sleeping, right? And so when you're waking up and going to sleep, your brain is going through into theta at a point, and you're able to reprogram yourself more effectively. That's often times why hypnosis has to do with being relaxed. When you're relaxed, you're able to go into hypnosis state. And that's also why the TV can be a state of hypnosis, because you allow yourself to relax. So I think I gave you guys a decent amount of tools. And something else, actually, I think you guys can think about too is writing these messages in front of different areas. So, on your mirror, this is something from Marissa Peer too as well. And something that me and my wife do all the time is on our mirrors, we write, "I am enough." Because a lot of people believe that they aren't enough. So let me give an example of this. They believe they need more things. They need to have all the designer clothes. They need to have makeup. They need to have certain drinks. They need to have food. They need to have a certain personality for people to love them. They feel like they're not enough the way they are, and that's very important to change that. Or they feel like maybe they're not enough, so they don't deserve to be eating. They don't deserve to be doing these things. They don't deserve, they feel like they're too fat, so they're not enough. So they don't deserve food. So example um, of me having my like different ways of seeing these messages is, one is my wife made this where it says "I am enough." I have this right in front of my computer, so I am always seeing this every single day. I have on this whiteboard behind me, you probably can't see it right now, but it says "I am enough" right there as well in big, big letters. I have it all over my room. I have these. I have also a thing hung up on my wall that says "The power of positivity." We all have two dogs inside of us. One dog is positive, happy, and hopeful. The other dog is negative, mad, sad, pessimistic, and fearful. These two dogs often fight inside of us, but guess who wins the fight? The one you feed the most. And that's the way your subconscious mind works. If you want to have positive thoughts, you got to feed those positive thoughts the most. You got to feed that positive thinking more than you're feeding the negative thinking. And, that's why when people say nice things to us, that's very helpful. That's great, right? that's a great source of getting that positivity. But it doesn't make it that much of a difference in our lives because oftentimes we're being so negative with ourselves throughout the day, and there's so many repeated negativity or verbal self-sabotage. Essentially, people are being, abusive towards themselves, saying they're not good at something, they're not smart enough, they're not all these things. And it's happening so many times in a day that that's what's familiar for them. That's what the program is made out of. And another way you can think of these programs is from a scientific level. Your brain has different neurons in it, right? And every time you make a thought, it connects these neurons, right? And every time you think about that thought again, it reinforces it. It makes it so it's an easier path to go down. And what does nature do? It follows the path of least resistance. So this is why, that negative thought might come back to your head, because your nature is following the path of least resistance, and we are all part of nature. Our brain is naturally going to go down the path of least resistance. Our subconscious mind is naturally going to go down the path of least resistance. And it's up to you to be that conscious individual, to be watching out, be conscious of yourself, be aware of yourself, be aware of what you're saying to yourself, be aware of what you're watching, of what you're listening to, of what you're, saying to yourself, what you're allowing other people to say to you. Be aware of, what words you're using. Are you surrendering your power to other people? So I think we covered everything about verbal self-sabotage. And we covered what it is, how we're able to identify it, how we're influenced, how different examples of verbal self-sabotage, and I give you some solutions that you can use to actually go out there and create new programs for yourself. And this is so, so important you do this. Start right now. I wish I would have started as soon as possible. I wish I would have started when I was like in high school. I didn't know this information then. And as soon as I learned this information, I started doing it. And I tell you, I made huge changes with it. For the longest time, I was trying to stop drinking. And I would tell myself I want to stop drinking, but I wouldn't. I'd say, tomorrow I'm going to stop drinking. But tomorrow was always a day away, right? And I'd go grab that alcohol. I'd go grab that drink. And I wouldn't stop drinking. Obviously, that's just part of it, but it's so, so important you change your thoughts and you become aware of what you're thinking and how your all your language, your thoughts, the words you use with other people, how that all affects you. I hope you learned some information today. I hope you learned something you can use in your life. If you have questions about it, if you would like me to teach you all about the subconscious mind, teach you how to, use your subconscious mind to create the life you want, I would love to be that person for you. I would love to take you through and be your coach, to overcome self-sabotage, to understand how your mind works. And that's really what a self-sabotage coach does, is that they give you all the tools so that you can go out there and create the best life you want. And, not only are we able to identify self-sabotaging habits, we're able to teach you about the most important part of your mind. We're able to teach you how to use that part of your mind so you can create the life you want. And it's something that I love doing. I love teaching other people this information because it's so, so powerful. It has allowed me to make changes in my life. It has allowed my wife to make changes, has allowed many of my clients to make changes. It's helped so many people across the world, across the planet, to make these changes. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what your background is. And that is what my podcasts on Sundays are supposed to show people. So on the very first Sunday we did this podcast, my first ever episode, I shared my self-sabotage story. The next Sunday I had a Dana Polo. Oh man, I cannot remember her name right now. It's a great, amazing Slovakian name. You have to check it out though. Her self-sabotage story was amazing, and it was really cool and very relatable. And I think many people could get inspiration from it. And then this upcoming Sunday, I'll have another self-sabotage coach come on and share their story. His name is Paul Anthony. He's from New Zealand. So my point is that no matter where you're from, because I'm from the States, she's from Slovakia, he's from New Zealand. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter any of those things. We're all able to overcome self-sabotage. And if you think that there's something wrong with you, please know there's nothing wrong with you. This is how your mind works. And there are solutions to overcome it. There are solutions to correct it so that you can start thinking long term, so that you can start living the life you want, so you can start reprogramming yourself and, creating the records in your subconscious mind so that you can be playing positive thoughts. So you can be playing, wealth building ideas. So you can be playing the things you want in your life so that you can go out there and have the thoughts that will support you. So you can believe in yourself and love yourself again and have confidence in yourself. And this is why this information is so, so powerful. So it was my pleasure speaking to you guys today. And I really, really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please, subscribe. Please share this with other people. Give this a like if you can, depending on what platform you are on. Leave a comment if you'd like as well. I love to read you guys' comments, and would love to get your guys' opinion on verbal self-sabotage. If you thought of a way that people are sabotaging themselves verbally that didn't speak up here, write it down and send it to me or put it in the comments. I'd love to read it and maybe make a video about it next time. And it's my pleasure to be speaking to you guys, and really this podcast is for you guys. So what you guys want to be hearing, what you guys are interested in, let me know. I'll make a video about it. I'll make a podcast an episode about it. And that's something else I want to note. If you're watching this or listening to this as a podcast and you want to see the video of it, I have it on YouTube. I have it on Rumble. If you're watching this on Rumble or YouTube and you'd rather be listening to it, on the go in a podcast, you want to download it, come check out my podcast. I am on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, no, Spotify. Sorry, I was mixing two up. Amazon Music. I'm on all sorts of platforms now. And then you, of course, can go to my actual link on my web for my podcast. And I'll have all my links down below in the description of whatever platform you're watching this on, so you can always find me and find my information. And also, if you are interested in the coaching sessions or even just hearing what we and speaking with me about it, click the link below to schedule your free strategy call, and together we can hop on a Zoom call and just chat it out and speak together like as if we were doing the interview. Or I would love to hear what's going on in your life and what you're needing help with. So I love you all, and I hope you have a great day, and get out there and create some new programs. Use this information to make your life better, and to share it with other people as well. It's great information. It's powerful information. I want you to share it with other people and show other people that we can reprogram ourselves, and we don't have to be living a life with negative thoughts. And it's not normal to be living your life with negative thoughts. It's just because you need to make some changes in your life, and you need to address these things, and then those thoughts will be changed, and you won't automatically have those negative thoughts anymore. And I know we can all do this because so many people have already done this, and they've all been different people with different experiences, with different backgrounds, different genders, different ages. We all can do it, and we all can overcome self-sabotage. And that is the main point of this podcast, is for everyone to realize that we can all overcome self-sabotage. All right, that's enough. I hope you guys all have a great night. And once again, my name is Tanner, and you have just listened to Self-Sabotage Solutions. And the video was all about verbal self-sabotage.